So again, guys, my name is AC Williams. Today, just like every Monday, we have a impactful member of our family, of our Master Networks family, that takes the time to impart wisdom. Here's what I'll say: the gentleman today, when we spoke about him attending, here's that's something that's valuable. When I asked him before I could finish, he said yes twice, right? And that's because he's all about giving back. He's all about helping others. He's all about creating value. And I, for one, can truly appreciate that. I would say we would all like that person to be in our inner circle, right? And with that in mind, listen, gentlemen, he has two adult kids, married to the love of his life. Definitely have been married for 33 years. He and his family, and in particular he and his wife, they again about creating value in terms of creating leaders and helping others do the same. I consider him a mentor of mentors, if you would. He's a mentor of mine from afar. We hadn't had the chance to really sit down and kind of chop it up as you would, but in passing, the things that he said has just kind of impacted me in a positive way. And so, what I also tell you is, he's the COO and visionary of Scardell's Dental Spa and Wellness in New York. So all of you folks from New York definitely know this gentleman. He's all about personal development. He loves to speak. He's an author. He's an educator. And he's the co-host of the runaway hit podcast, The Road Ahead Cafe. Guys, make sure you tune in because he's going to be hosting that and rocking with that. For us in the Master Networks family, he is a regional leader. And more importantly, in terms of that role, he's the type of leader that helps others achieve and get to the same, if you would. So, listen, without further ado, I just want you to welcome to the table, if you would. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the stage, metaphorically, our good friend, our leader, Mr. Rick Gabrielly. Mr. Gabrielly.
Thank you so much, AC. Nice introduction.
There you are, sir.
Appreciate having everybody here today. And today I'm going to talk a little bit about something that I think is powerful emotional leadership. But I was thinking over 2020 and 2021, and what were the things that really struck me as the biggest challenges. And I wrote a post about it today when I was posting the last minute, come today and listen to this talk, because I think that many of us were trying to cope, still are. If we are lucky enough to be able to cope during this time, we want to elevate, and then we want to do the same thing for those around us. So I'm going to, I have some notes. I'm going to click over and jump into those now, and just sit back, relax. You don't have to take any notes because I will share the notes with you if you want them. This is going to be recorded so you can go back and watch it. And so you don't have to do any thinking. You can just sit back and enjoy this. And as I will be just being here to share with all of you. So are you ready to lead through connection? What is leadership, and why are we making such a big deal about it? You might be thinking right now, I'm not even a leader, Rick. Well, I'm here to tell you today that we're all leaders, at home and at work, all day, every day. We just don't always think so because we're programmed to think of a leader as the boss, our mom or dad, our manager, the loudest person in the meeting, our pushy supervisor, or in our case here in Master Networks, maybe our chapter president or vice president. We're used to seeing labels as leaders. We're using our minds and our egos to measure who the leader is. And today, I will share the truth about leadership. It comes from your heart. Literally and figuratively, we're all built to lead. In fact, in 2022, it will be the most effective way to lead. And if you put in the effort to hear today's information and then apply it, it'll make you and those around you feel truly inspired, safe, and supported. And those people will want to learn from you. They'll trust you, and they'll be elevated by you. And it will position you at home and at work as the leader that you were born to be. You see, titles don't make leaders. Thoughts, feelings, and actions make leaders. In fact, it's always been this way. And the reason we sometimes don't feel good about our leaders or our own ability to lead is because we're using the old paradigm. After today, you no longer have to do that. So what is leadership? Leadership is any engagement where influence occurs. This influence can be both conscious and subconscious. This influence can be positive or negative. And this leadership can be with and toward others, or even more importantly, it can even be leading ourselves. And this is where true leadership begins. It begins with being the best leader for you. That's your first connection, the vital connection to ourself. You'll use this connection to build a foundation to live by, to foster deeper bonds, and forge long-lasting relationships at home and at work.
Excuse
So
me,
what
Rick,
is
are you
emotional?
sharing your screen?
I am not.
Oh, okay.
So what is emotional leadership? Emotional leadership is the subtle art of becoming aware of your own emotions as well as the emotions of others at home and at work. And it's a key benefit of emotional intelligence, and it's controlled by our energy leadership. And it's at work either for us or against us at all times. There is no downtime to our leadership, people. No downtime. Energy leadership is the act of guiding your energy so that it works for you and not against you. And when you do this properly, you can create a shift in your own energy and the energy of those around you, bringing about the highest good for all involved. Finding your limitless self. You are a limitless being. No matter what you've done and no matter what you've already accomplished, you have so much more to learn, further to grow, and a bigger impact to make at home and at work. Everything I'm sharing with you today is created to help you in both your personal as well as your business relationships. In fact, I don't think there should be a separation between our business and personal lives. We are in an age where the two have become one, and this does not have to feel overwhelming or like work. Dream with me for a minute. Imagine waking up every day feeling energized, knowing that everyone you meet is valuable. They are actually a vital piece of your fabric. They provide the mosaic that is your life. How would you engage and connect with people if you knew that they all played this critical role in making your life both successful and meaningful? You can make this dream come true with emotional leadership. Managing your energy leadership for the highest good. Are you responding to life versus reacting? Throughout your day, many interactions trigger the need for decision making. We must make choices to move through these interactions to get to our next task at work and at home. And choosing how you engage at every moment governs your effectiveness with others and yourself. Do you normally respond to things, or do you sometimes react because you're placing your ego out front? Are you leading your energy to work for you and others? When you choose to focus on your personal energy leading from your heart, you create possibility. You provide fertile ground for your own seeds as well as the seeds in others to be planted. These seeds are the daily interactions we talked about earlier. Let's talk about anabolic energy versus catabolic energy. Anabolic energy is constructive, it's expanding, healing, and growth oriented. Catabolic energy is draining, it's resisting and contracting. We have all experienced both of these energy types. Clearly, we want to be living in the space of anabolic energy. Anabolic energy gives you more complete and a more conscious view of the world and the world of those around you. It is patient, it is just, and it is nourishing. And anabolic energy is the preferred energy at work in effective emotional leadership. So why would you want to improve your emotional leadership skills? So you can be more self-aware. You will be more relatable to others. You will inspire your family and your children if you have any. You will motivate by example. You will warmly resolve conflict. It's inevitable, but the trauma is not as dark when you use emotional leadership. You will attract more positive outcomes, and you'll develop a worldview versus a narrow local view. You'll think about others more often, and you'll learn to choose love over fear. You'll build relationships, families, and businesses that really matter. And you'll become a purpose-focused, cultivated through a purpose-focused individual, cultivating through engagement versus competition. You'll live a life based on group learning and shared leadership. And you'll make your life and the lives of those around you so much easier. Now, when I was writing this talk, I looked at a lot of different books, and I went back. I always do. I have a bunch of books that I go to all the time. In particular, for this talk, I went to Thrive by Arianna Huffington. And again, you don't have to write anything down, because I'll provide the notes happily to any of you. But in the book, Thrive by Arianna Huffington, she talks about finding the space to lead, working and leading with presence and compassion, tapping into the mindful leader within, and reflection and meditation. Another book, which is one of my absolute favorites, Top 5, Power versus Force by David Hawkins. Our body knows the truth. In kinesiology, we study indicator muscles, and they will strengthen and weaken in the presence of positive and negative emotional and intellectual stimuli. A smile will make you test strong, and a hateful statement will make you test weak. Think about that, people. Our thoughts and our actions, whether we want to try to hide them or not, our body and the bodies of those around us actually knows when we should be strengthened or weakened by our positive or negative emotional and intellectual stimuli. How incredible is that? And then the third book is Vibrational Medicine by Richard Gerber. Incredible, incredible book. Our hearts speak. Did you know that long before we enter a room, in person or in Zoom, our hearts are talking to each other? Cardio-neuroimmunology, the new language spoken by our hearts, says that the heart is 600 times more powerful electrically than our brain. The energy field that it puts out is like a power plant, and our hearts can actually speak to each other. They can feel the thoughts and intentions from within our brain. So pay attention to your thoughts and feelings when you're engaging others. You are an open book, so choose your words and thoughts carefully. At times of focused inner love and peace, the coherent energy pattern of the heart has the ability to influence energetic events in the body, both in ours and those around us. So when we choose to put out love, we have a much greater impact in the world, and it feels good too. Your emotional leadership has great power. This is your most powerful tool for bringing about transformational change in the world. And the time is now to use this power. Energy found in the local planetary magnetic field has shown in research studies, it was found that during healing work, a resonant energy could be measured in nearby trees and gardens. More proof that our personal energy field is tangible and influential. Leaders are healers. And remember, you're all leaders. Your greatest gift each day is to be able to reach out and touch someone in need. And we are all in need of something. Moving people takes only to reach out and touch them. I've seen this happen in my own life. When I've chosen the high road, when I've chosen love over fear, even when it makes no sense, and the logical path is to resist, fight, compete, compare. When you choose love over fear, when it makes no sense at all, watch what happens. I've created new paradigms in my businesses, being fearless in my personal core values. I'll bring love to work any day. I'm never afraid. I've resisted business envy to create more abundance in my own world, and you can too. So are you willing to listen deeply to others? One time I lost my voice and I went to a voice coach, and she taught me mechanically what's actually going on in our head, physically, with our ears and our vocal cords. When we're ready to speak, when someone is asking us a question or talking to us, when we're trying to formulate our response, something happens mechanically and our ears actually get closed off by the muscles in our vocal cord and tongue. So when you're listening with the intent to respond, you're actually closing yourself off to others. Elevation through listening to others and emotional leadership gives you the opportunity to listen physically and emotionally. Happy to talk to you more about this anytime. The path to leadership. What is the path to leadership? Right here in Master Networks. I want to reference Tina Campbell, who's always leading by example. Recently, she made a presentation to headquarters, to Chaz Wilson and the other regional partners. She talked about going from a member to a leader to an area director and beyond. Now, in this particular case, when she made that presentation, I asked her for the notes. I wanted to learn about it because that was my journey in this organization. I was just a member, and then I was a leader, and then I was an area director, and I've gone beyond that. But when I came into this, I had no idea what Master Networks offered. And I will tell each one of you, there is so much more than we see in these presentations and we hear in these meetings. So even if you have gotten a very nourishing, rich experience out of this, there's so much further to go. Take that chance. Let your ego go, pay your dues, look for excellence in others. And it comes by choice, not by chance. So waiting is one thing, but being patient with others is the key. So why have we met so many emotionally gifted leaders right here in this room? Each one of you made a decision to come here today. And so I would like you all to reach out to each other after this presentation. Why should you learn more about emotional leadership? You will become more attractive in an electromagnetic sense at home and at work. People will seek you out, and this will result in two things. One, more engagement, leading to more opportunities to lead with your heart. This will put you in the path to leadership, a magical place that elevates others while at the same time elevating your personal brand. When you lead with your heart, others will want to learn more about you and your business. This leads to more chances to serve and change lives, which is why we're all here today. Why should you use emotional leadership every day? I can tell you firsthand that making emotional leadership your main focus, you can feel more relaxed, more energetic, and more purposeful in your life. You no longer need to struggle. You can now find joy and abundance with every interaction for yourself and those around you. My wish for you today, I hope that you will take today's teaching and use it to build a solid foundation at home and at work. I hope that you will connect with the current leadership in your own life and ask them how you can be more by walking alongside them. I hope that you will take on a more nourishing role in the leadership of your own chapter, family, and when you do, I can tell you it will profoundly change your life and the lives around you. Thank you so much for investing your time and most of all, your energy with me today. I appreciate each one of you and I love you all.
Boom, mic drop. All right, let's open this puppy up. Rick, you up to it?
I'm ready, AC. Let's go.
All right, guys, listen, if you would, we open it up for questions and let's have some conversation around this, if you would. I'll take the privilege and jump in first here, Mr. Gabrielly. Hey, listen, you mentioned the what happens biologically when you are so-called listening to someone, but you start preparing to speak, right? Talk through that again. I thought that was really interesting. I did write that down, even though.
Yeah, so I go to Ronnie, and I have no voice, and so I'm kind of like talking very quietly, and we had a few sessions. So about the third session, she takes out this chart, a cutaway view of our anatomy in the head, and she says, "You know what this is right here?" And I said, "No," and it's like something this big. She said, "That's your tongue," and I said, "Well, I thought your tongue was just this thing that sticks out of your mouth." She said, "No, if you look, it's this whole, it goes down into the back of your throat. So it's really like this big, size of about a baseball." So she said, "So here's what happens with the tongue. When you're listening without any thoughts of responding, so you're just openly listening, the tongue relaxes in the back of the throat and the ears are able to open up fully. but also all of the architecture of the head. The eyes are taking in more, the senses are taking in more. And energetically, you're actually observing more like a casual observer. You're just present. As soon as you start to formulate an opinion that you're going to verbalize, the tongue goes into a mode that starts to close off the ears physically. So you're stopping the listening process. Again, this is voluntary. It's not like we're doing it or it's involuntary. We don't know we're doing it. We're just, oh, I know what I want to say to that. Oh, that brings up a good point. And of course, the dreaded, what about me? Let me tell you how that impacted me. Oh, let me tell you what happened in my life that's like that. And heaven forbid we go to, let me tell you something better than that. I have a better one. I have a worse situation or a better situation. So this is not easy to do. All right. I was born talking. I came out, the doctor was like, I was just going to spank you, but you're talking to me already. So it's very hard for those of us, especially the New Yorkers in the room. We're always talking, right? So how do we, if you're in sales, you're training to talk, right? So how do we listen? And for me, this took a long time. It took a lot of challenges. It took a lot of struggle. I actually lost my voice. So I thought it was a metaphysical event because when I went to Ronnie, she taught me so much more about life. And she was an opera singer and a trained voice coach. So she taught me about the architecture. And what that taught me was there was a metaphysical reason why I lost my voice. And from that event and events after that, I've learned how to become an even better listener. And you know what? I'll tell you, all the talkers in the room, at some point, you just decide it's heavy lifting to be doing all the talking all the time. So now, here's a very popular quote that I love. When I was young, I did everything and accomplished nothing. In the middle of my life, I did less and accomplished more, all with the hopes that someday I would do nothing and accomplish everything. And so, for those of you who love to talk, try this out. Ronnie prompted me to have a day of silence. She said, Rick, every month, I want you to take one day and I want you to be totally silent. Tell your family and friends, put your phone down, just tell everyone, put it in the calendar. You're going to be silent for the whole day. You're not going to speak. You're not going to make a phone call. You're not going to do anything. Well, I want to tell you, you talk about difficult. Just trying to tell people that you're not talking that day. I broke the silence several times, but I learned how to do it. And it was one of the hardest things that I ever did, but it was one of the most rewarding. If you string those together, you put a few months together, one a month. Oh my God, it is so freeing. It is like a verbal diet. So, I could go on and on about that architecture but just know that when you're ready to form your next sharing, opinion, conversation, that next statement, you're closing off your hearing. So if you really want to get everything from that other person so that you can serve, you got to learn how to listen, really
I'm gonna
listen.
call that tongue mode, Rick. I'm gonna coin that called tongue mode. You
Yep.
go into tongue mode. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Uh, Next up, Dr. Pepper from White Plains. Dee, D, how you doing? D?
Okay, now can you hear me?
I
Yeah,
can.
we can hear you now.
So I'm a fighter. Now I'm a lover too, and I'm real passionate in every regard. I'm going through some difficult things at work, and sometimes I have a hard time shifting from putting up a fight at work where I'm being forced to take some time off 3 days a week to loving my team or loving my husband. And I don't have fear, like I'm fierce, but I don't have fear. But when you put fear and you said resistance, fighting, competing, it's like, that's why it's so hard. So what do you do mentally, or how? I guess I need to learn how to not fight at work, not put up resistance to whatever the heck they're going to do with me. But how do I shift? Do you have anything that you can suggest to trigger it or to move?
Yeah. So D, I don't know. I know I know a little bit about your journey, D. So I know that you are a very powerful woman and a very passionate woman. So here's the thing. Have you heard this phrase. Why is this happening for me as opposed to me? So if someone's telling you, okay, we want to basically shift everything in your world from what you like and what you think is just and proper and right for you to all these things that are unfair and horrible, and we're going to just basically strip you of all your fill in the blank. Why is this happening for me? And as a leader, especially an emotional leader, we have to be patient during this lifetime. So we're going to talk big picture now. You're here for so many purposes. We already know that Joe was kept here for a purpose. So, you know, anybody that has happened to him, what happened to him, some of those people are long gone. So he was spared for a purpose. So not to get dramatic, but whatever's happening to you is a change in life. And it might be that the next thing that you're about to do is so much bigger and so much more important for so many more people. And you've got to let go of all of your shoulds and say, why is this happening for me instead of to me?
And I believe that shift is there, but, and I totally know it's like, well, of course I'm not supposed to be at this job. This is a ridiculous job for me. But what I find difficult is that little shift, because sometimes it's from walking down 10 steps to sitting in front of my computer. That's how much time I have to shift, to be giving and open-hearted, to being pissed off.
10 steps? That's a lot. What are you doing on the second and third step? Every step is a shift, right?
Okay, I like that.
Yeah. How about stopping on each step and taking your time? And then by the time you get to 10, you'll be jumping from the 9th to the floor.
I can see that. That's powerful. Thank you, Rick.
Yeah, do that tomorrow.
Okay.
Go down to the 9th step and jump over the 10th step. Leap into your new opportunity.
Oh, that's powerful. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're muted, AC. AC, you're muted.
I think he's saying.
Bear with me, I was
Adria,
practicing.
go.
But you're right, Annie. Thank you, Annie. Adria.
Adria, go.
Hi, Rick. Listen, thank you so much for everything that you shared. Even what you said to Dee is, you know, to really think of the positive. But I have to ask you a question. You know, in my life, there are times that I'll sit and think about somebody. And within the next day, they call me up. And when you talk about electromagnetic, is that what that is?
Well, so there's a few things at play. So, you know, there's a lot of different types of energy: physical energy, emotional energy, spiritual energy, metaphysical, electromagnetic. So because we're energetic beings and we're living in an energetic universe, we're on a planet that has a frequency, right? It's called the Schumann resonance. We're energetic beings. And so we're all connected on so many different levels. So for example, your heart, even though you were thinking, I know you said, I think about a person, but really what happened is your heart picked up that transmission and sent the message to them, and their heart picked it up. So, you know, it's a radio station. You sent them a message, they picked it up, and they said, hey, Adria. And so what might be funny next time when they call you the next day, say, what took you so long? I sent that message 12 hours ago. But yes, so it's a frequency. We are all so connected. Some might say we're all one. I know that in this Master Networks family, we certainly feel more like one than a lot of families I've been a part of. And so, you know, I look around this room and I see people in this room who I love, who I share my life with every day, and some people who I don't know yet who will be in that circle soon enough. So think about the gift of connection that we have, and the ability to make a difference in the world with a group of people like this. We're not going alone. We're going together.
Thank you so much, Rick.
Thank you, Adria.
Cool. I saw a couple other hands up, but Phil was there. Talk to us.
Hey, Rick. Phenomenal presentation. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, brother.
I can't wait to get your book, The Currency of Connection. I don't have it as of yet, forgive me. And but is there a way we can practice the emotional intelligence other than the day of silence, kind of clearing things up? Or is there a certain book that you've read? Love to hear your thoughts.
So thank you, Phil. Yeah, so there's actually an assessment that you can do to measure your energy leadership, which is a great place to start. And I'm going to, Sandra, I'm going to ask you, because Gillian, one of our fellow chapter mates and the vice president in the Long Island chapter, is an energy leadership index assessment coach. So, and there's a lot of them. So I'm not just saying I'm plugging her, although she's one of my people. So why wouldn't I? So, but Gillian Dunn Tucker is amazing. She did my assessment a few months back. And so basically talks about these 7 energy leadership levels. And I'm going to just kind of go over it quickly. So level 1 is a very low vibration. And as you progress, you want to get up to that, 3rd, 4th level, 5th, 6th, 7th level. So look up Energy Leadership Index. It's called the ELI assessment. Any one of you can take it. And what it will do is it will tell you where you are right now. But basically, level 1 is a level of very low vibration. Level 7 is a level of very high vibration. So obviously we're all striving to get up to those levels. But what this assessment really shows you is how you lead when you are weak and not at your strongest. It's when you are struggling, how you lead when you're struggling. So what we want to know is what our weaknesses are so we can highlight the strengths. We want to know where we struggle so that we can become better. So I know that it's popular to study what we're good at, but basically what you want to do is go find out where you are on this scale and then start to work on your emotional leadership and your energy. There's a phrase, one of my good friends, Dr. Joshua Burka, says, the way you manage your own personal energy is the new healthcare. So that's something to take note of. Managing your own personal energy is the new healthcare. Think about it. When you're energetic, you feel good. You don't need any doctors or any medicine or anything like that. But when you're struggling energetically, that's when you have things happening to you. So, your mom always said, don't go out in the rain. You're going to lower your resistance. Even though that wasn't exactly true, the part about lowering your resistance is definitely, true. So you don't want to lower your immune system. One way to increase that is through your own personal energy, managing that. So managing your own energy and your emotional leadership is finding out where you are on those levels and doing things. For example, one of the things in that emotional leadership scale is trying to arrive at a win-win. That's actually level 6. You might say, Rick, win-win is the best, isn't it? No, the level of levels, the intention of level 7 is that winning doesn't even matter anymore because you're not measuring winning and losing. You're not comparing. So there is no win-win. So imagine a life where you get beyond win-win to a place where you're not even judging the outcome of plus and minus, positive, negative. You've gone beyond even the need to win or measure when someone else wins. And by saying winning, we're basically saying someone is losing. So, the win-win. But anyway, just study emotional leadership. Phil, it's a great question. It's obviously a topic for a whole nother meeting or a book or a seminar or all that. It's a lifetime of learning. But emotional leadership and energy leadership are, in my opinion, 2 of the best tools that you could arm yourself with. And this is for home, people. Work is important, but for me, this is stuff you need to use at home. You need to use this with your partner, spouse, significant others, family, friends, your neighbors. Emotional leadership is so important at home. I think, our home is our most important domain. Taking it to work is good, but practicing at home is what makes you really good at doing all the things that you bring to work.
Rick, you did hit on something before I ask the next person in terms of opening up for your return, sir, in terms of other topics. So I would just actively ask you to encourage you to recall that. I'll be knocking on your door.
Note taken, AC.
Yeah. All right. Next up, my good buddy Eva Gabor's son, AB.
Thank you, AC. Phil, that was a great question. That led to so much. But firstly, I have to give it back to Rick. Guys, this man, with whoever he touches, is such a gift. What we learned today and the conversation that we're having, you know, Rick, I can never get enough of you. It's really the truth. You're a gift, you know, Carol and Max that are here, Alex, obviously, and your entire family. But so many things that you touched upon, like how we're all connected. You know, I was just looking at this room. I'm fortunate, I'm blessed that everyone's on one screen here right now. And I could say that just about every single person in this room, I've had the opportunity to meet with face to face, at least virtually, and get to know. And I truthful and the culture that we have, the love that we have, it's a constant growth, you know. And they say you're always just, you know, one person away, or not even that. It's just, you know, it was meant to be. I mean, think of it. I've many of you have heard me say this all along. You know, I know people have had a lot of illness or loss as a result of this pandemic, but think of it. This has been a blessing for all of us that we're all here. Liz and I got to meet Carol and Rick before the pandemic at an event that Liz and Carol and Rick did live, and our friendship began and it started. And ever since then, it has grown and grown and grown. And we're fortunate enough to spend every week with the Gabriellys and absolutely love it, love their families, and their families, our family. But getting back to some of the other things that you said when you're talking about some of those books, thoughts are things is so important. You know, I get that from Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. It's thoughts really are things. And like Adria was talking about it, how she was all of a sudden, you know, thinking about someone and they came the next day. Well, you know, one led to another, led to another. I mean, I could each and every single one of you, you know, whether you're from the New York region, Texas, Louisiana, Colorado, this is a gift, a miracle that we're all here together and we're all continuing to grow. Whenever the opportunity comes that we get to see each other live or virtually, it's always a blessing and a gift. And I cannot tell you, you know, anytime that anyone has the opportunity to hear from Rick, it's truly a gift. So thank you so much. You know, I love what you share with me. It's and a lot of what you preach. I'm so blessed that I have Liz that talks about it as well in the house all the time, about how we respond to certain things as opposed to react. Think about it. When you get bitten by a bee, that's a reaction. That's negative. When you're caught in really bad traffic, you can respond by just listening to the Roadhead Cafe. You know, very nice. Instead of worrying about how long it's going to take, whatever, grow your mind. So thank you, brother, so much.
Thank you, brother. Hey, can I take a minute out here to wish our buddy EJ a happy birthday today?
Woo!
Absolutely.
Oh, happy birthday, EJ. Man tunes in
Thanks,
on his
guys.
birthday. Bro, you tune in on
Appreciate
your birthday.
y'all.
You tune in on your birthday, bro. Where you headed, man?
We are just taking care of some work here in New Orleans or Covington, and then we're gonna be going to dinner tonight. It's gonna be delicious.
Good man. Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday,
Actually-
EJ.
This is
I'm
a
actually
great
going on a
birthday
brand
gift for
new-
you, EJ.
Oh, and then guess what? My after meeting for this special group is I'm going to an energy healer. It was at one of our networking groups this week, and I gotta learn more. I gotta hear. If it's NLP or what's he doing. So that's a little present for myself. Clean the
Good
energy.
job, buddy. Good job.
We got a few more. Well, yes, Rick, I wanted to ask you this question about the two, but before I do that, AB touched on something I know we all agree, and it's something that we do frequently in our chapter. We talk about the books that we're reading, right? Because that's what helps us grow. That's, you know, increases our lid, if you would. And so I'll ask Rick this question, but I do want to, once he finishes, I want to come back and I'll ask each of us, and you should probably have it right there. If you got the book that you're reading right now, be ready to hold it up because I want to take a picture of that. I think that's really important, and hopefully that stresses it as well. So if you whatever your book that you're reading, hold that tight, and when Rick finishes this answer, we can go from there. Rick, you talked about anabolic and catabolic energy, which is really interesting, right? Mike, I don't want to focus on the negative, but when you come across folks with that catabolic piece of it, from a leadership perspective, you want to kind of lead them and help them and show them and help them move toward anabolic. But there's a point in which you have to let it go, right? They can't be in your circle per se. How do you kind of manage that?
Well, this is going to be one of those questions that's really going to have an answer that depends on you and your patience level and where you're at in your life. So I was once that person who people should have given up on, and they didn't. Now everybody didn't hang in there. So certain people did give up, and those people aren't here right now. But the certain people who did not give up and they kept believing, one in particular, who was my high school biology teacher, he just happened to, show up at the right minute with just the right amount of patience and the message that turned my whole life around, saved my life, in fact, life-saving power of connection. So who are we and what place in our life are we at? How much patience do we have? How many resources do we have? So I was just with my good friend on Friday and Saturday who struggled with alcoholism for years. And I stayed with him. I stayed with him. I stayed with him. I could have given up at any time in the journey. But when I saw him on Friday and he looked great and he was feeling great and he'll be sober 1 year on December 30th. So here's to Gary. So many times I said, how long can I do this? Well, the answer is until it works. So that was me, though, because at that point in my life, not only I had this done to me many times, and you know what? Somebody may be putting up with me today, and they may be dealing with the current Rick and having patience with me. I don't know what I'm doing to either irritate or aggravate or challenge someone else in my world who may be saying, oh God, this Rick, man, he's going to drive me nuts. And they may be patient with me right now. Some of you in this room might say, oh God, can you get this guy to stop talking so I could say something or get my 2 cents in? So, maybe some of you are putting up with me right now. So the answer, AC, is depending on where you are in your life and who that person is. But going back to D and what D's challenge was, we don't know who those angels are because they don't come down with a white gown on and a little halo and say, hey, I'm your angel. I'm just going to, help you out right now. So when I tap you on the head, you're going to do what I say and you're going to be perfect. We don't know who the angels are, but based on what I said today, assume everyone is one of your angels and watch what happens.
I'll just say boom.
Got the star up. D's got the
You
star
got a
up.
room full of angels here, Rick.
Yeah,
You
so
know that.
assume everyone, especially the ones you don't know yet.
Yeah. Good. Good. Hey, where's that book, guys? Where's that book you're reading as I reach over here? Everybody's got that book that you're reading? What is it? Hold it up. I need to see it. I want to see it. Make sure you're not holding up any comic strips over there. I see you. Listen. Hold your book up. I do want to take a picture of that, guys. If you're driving, do not hold a book up. There we go. 1, 2, 3. All right. There we go. Appreciate it, guys. I can't stress that enough. We talk about that all the time. And every one of our members that comes always talks about that, right? And so we should be stressing that. What else, guys? Before Rick gives us some final thoughts, who's got any other questions, thoughts, concerns, queries, consultations? Raise your hand for me.
This is Elaine Moorhead, and Rick, your presentation was phenomenal. I've been learning about how we are connected through our heart and energy for a really long time. You really nailed it. You did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Liz, Gabor.
Hey, everybody. First of all, I agree with everything AB said about how much we love the Gabriellis. They're our family, and that is forever. I have a question about, I see heart-centered leadership equaling emotional leadership. Do you agree on that as a rule? Like, that's kind of how I always say heart-centered leadership when I think of the best leadership. Yeah.
100%. So here's the one slight variation is that when we say heart-centered leadership, like let's say I go into a business meeting, if I say heart-centered leadership, a lot of times people are thinking, oh, that's that, that stuff that, my Reiki person does or my healer does or the poet that I talk to. But if I say emotional leadership, sometimes business people might think, oh, emotions, oh, that's that emotion, oh, that's the thoughts of the brain, even though it's feelings. So just a different terminology, but the same context. So again, question is, which one should we use when we're out in the world? Well, your life is your message. So sometimes you don't even have to label the things that you do. I certainly don't go around saying, oh, I'm going to talk to you today about emotional leadership when I'm, doing my thing. I'm just being Rick. So the key is be who you are. If you're the heart-centered leader and I'm the emotional leader and they're the same things, the bottom line is your life is your message. By the way, another great book. If you want to read a great book, Your Life is Your Message. Get that book. That is a terrific book. Thank you, Lizzie, for that question. Yeah,
Sure.
so heart-centered leadership, emotional leadership, very similar.
Yeah.
One may have a little more scientific research behind it. And one may have more spiritual research behind it. But again, bottom line is find out how to be a successful and effective leader in your own life for yourself and for those around you. But yeah, great point, Lizzie.
No, and I think, I think it is just and they're also closing the gap, I think, between the two as far as scientific and that, the spiritual, which I love. And then I just wanted to double click on, just the fact that you said about the kinesiology, about how positive thoughts and emotions and thoughts about others strengthens us, and how negative ones, thoughts about ourselves, about others and our capabilities weakens us. And that's it really. And when I learned that, I was like, it just kind of blew my mind, but it's such an important thing, such as everything you said, but I just wanted to double click on that. And I thank you so much. I love you.
Lizzie, I love you.
You got one last one for you, Rick. Amy from White Plains.
Thank you so much, Rick. And thank you to AB for sending out a reminder to come today. I really appreciate that. I'm really, really glad I came. I just have a quick comment to lend additional credence to what Rick was saying about the actual physical things that happen when we're listening or not listening. In my experience, I have actually sort of choked a little or coughed or something when I was thinking about what to say next. And what I understand that I think is verified by what Rick was saying is that I'm preparing to speak, and my physically I'm preparing to speak. So and what I don't always understand is that when that happens, I've stopped listening. So I think it's a really great lesson, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. And I'm going to add to that by saying those of us who are lucky enough to have a physical reminder like that may be a more evolved state of actually having your body talking to you. And so that feeling of either getting a lump in my throat, choking, sometimes people say they shook a little bit when they were either thinking something that they were going to say, or someone said something to them that shook them so much that they were going to respond or react. And then they felt a little bit of a physical response. So for those of you who are actually more in tune, evolving more quickly, feeling some of these things, you're lucky, because I can tell you that many times I was oblivious to this, give and take, and that I should just listen, almost, and use this expression, until someone empties their tank. So when we're talking, we're like, well, can't I just talk when they get to 3/4 or a half or a quarter tank, and then I can, empty my tank a little bit? We're always having face-to-faces. How many of you in this room have had a 30-minute face-to-face? 29 minutes of them talking, 1 minute of you trying to spit out what you do or who you are. And so what I would say is let them empty their tank. You can always have a second, third, or fourth, or you don't have to have a second. But we don't have to have equity in terms of the time spent. Realize this: if you are feeling something, like Amy said, that's great. Keep encouraging your body to remind you through these messages how to interact and engage properly. In terms of being able to really reach people, I pretty much have 100% policy in a face-to-face. I don't want to talk about myself at all on the first, maybe even the second meeting. And people say, well, Rick, that's not fair because you didn't get to tell them anything about what you do. And I've been way more successful with that method. Everybody knows what I do. I don't have to tell you. I don't have to say what I do. I got a Beamer shirt on. I got a Beamer logo here. I got Master Networks. I got my book and my podcast. You can look me up if you want to know what I do. Nobody's that curious that they can't figure out what I do. Google Rick Gabrielly. But the point is, when I'm in a meeting with someone, I want to know everything about them. I want them to unload that tank. And that goes for having a conversation. If you're a good listener already, like my wife is a great listener, take it to the next level. Let the other person empty the tank and then let them empty it again and watch what happens in your life. People will be so curious about you and they'll feel really good at the same time. And when they are curious and they feel really good, great things happen.
Wow, Rick, brother, you did it today, man. You took us to the next level, and well, I appreciate it. I know the gang here, the team here, the family here appreciates it. Guys, what I have up on the screen is the face-to-face group. This is the Monday, Wednesday, Friday group that you're part of today. I encourage you all to join the group. I would ask respectfully, Rick and all the leaders out there, impart wisdom here. Drop in nuggets. Say hello, but become part of this group and part of this family, and so that we can share, guys. It's been really, really good. So, Rick, first of all, I say thank you for showing up and helping us out. Like I said, you said yes twice before I even finished the sentence. Regardless of what Carol says, you are all right with me, bro. I just want to let you know. That's just, So, but hey, guys, as we kind of get out of here, want you guys have a great week. Drop everybody a line.